Hey guys. Okay, so we're going to talk about some stress. We're going to talk about what it is and how to identify it, and then we'll go from there. Okay. So stress is something that we've all probably came across or felt at some point in our lives. Stress is anytime there's a type of change that causes physical, emotional, psychological strain, just that strain on us, whether it be a work deadline, kids, parenting, relationship, any of that. Okay. Well, a lot of times, I'll be honest, some people are like, I'm not stressed. I'm like, oh, really? Oh, really? Let's talk about how I kind of look at what people are telling me and how I realize and identify and explain to them that, hey, I really think you're just kind of under some stress. Let's talk about the physical aspect of stress. Okay, so your physical would be, for example, your body aches, your headache, you have upset stomach, your blood pressure, chest pains, I don't know, problem sleeping, anything that is physically affected by something that is going on that's causing strain. Okay. I'm going to use the example of work because it's probably the easiest way to do that. But what I have noticed is that I have people that come in and they'll be like, a lot's going on and there's just a lot of pressure and deadlines and, it's hard. And I'm like, yeah. And then they'll start in, like, I can't sleep. I just have brain fog. I can't keep a clear mind. Or they'll say, I've been throwing up. I can't keep anything down. I'm not able to sleep at night, and I'm listening to these cues and I'm like, okay. And again, a lot of people don't want to identify it as stress or don't realize that that's really considered stress. And so they're telling me these things. And then we can get into more, like I said, the emotional factors of, I just want to cry. I just want to sleep. I feel sad, or I just, can't, I don't feel like I'm worth of this, or they have panic attacks, or feeling real tight anxiety and worry, depression, like I said, they don't want to get out of bed. I'm listening to all of this stuff, and the reason that I want to listen to this is because I've said it before. I don't want to misdiagnose anybody, okay? And there's times, guys, that I have people that I talk to on a daily that are just totally stressed. So, they're saying they're depressed. I'm depressed and I just worry all the time, and I just can't sleep, and I can't do this, and I have headaches, and, I'm on blood pressure pills now, and this and this. And I break it down and I'm like, okay. So let's talk about it. If this wasn't happening at work, how do you think everything else would be? Like, can you remember a time that you didn't feel all of that? Well, yeah, when I was in high school and I didn't have bills to pay or whatever, or just before I started having kids, or before I started having this girlfriend, or before I bought a house, or, they normally can identify a time where they didn't have those feelings, right? Well, the thing with that is that when I can be real with them and say, I believe that you're depressed. I'm not trying to take that away from you, but I feel that you're also just stressed. There's a lot of strain going on in your life right now, and they're like, I'm like, think about it, like everything that you've said to me there, you've got a lot going on. And, that panic, that worry, that fear, that upset stomach you're carrying, that headache, you just want to crawl in bed and sleep, you're fighting with your spouse, you're just having all kinds of issues. And what if we found ways to work and help through those issues? Okay. And I'm going to talk about that in the next video, what we can do and go from there and how to break that cycle of stress. I am going to talk about that, but for now, I don't think people understand the impact that stress does. And what is stressful to me might not be stressful to you. What is stressful to you might not be stressful to me. And it could be because things hit differently, or maybe, I don't know, you've used coping skills and you've learned what helps you get through that to where I haven't, And that's the thing that I love about being able to listen and assist and provide my knowledge and feedback, is that I can say, okay, even if I haven't had to, for example, say I have one client that said that reading really helped them. I can give that to my client in front of me and say, sometimes when you take your mind off of that and start reading, that will make it to where you can get tired because you're taking that off of there and you're able to go to sleep because you're not thinking about it. If you're getting sick and you're one that's just always sick, well, what if we just took some time to just learn to give ourselves 15 minutes every 4 hours if it's a work situation or something like that, because there's so much that's affected by stress. And a lot of times we don't know, we're just in the stress, so we don't know that we're stressed. And so we don't know how to respond to that to make it better. And sometimes talking to somebody helps you identify that, okay? Chest pain. I went to the doctor a couple of years ago, and I remember going in thinking I was dying from a heart attack. Oh my God. And my heart was fine. It was just great. And so when I evaluated the situation, I was able to see from the past, from right now looking past, wow, you might have been a little bit stressed, Diane. You were not sleeping. You weren't eating good. You were definitely not fueling your body. You weren't giving the nutrients it needs. You weren't giving it the rest you need. You weren't giving it all the nutrients, right? And then I can say, I worried constantly, like all the time. Thought I had some anxiety, like, oh my God, it's an asthma or anxiety attack. Oh my God. And in reality, it was just because my body and my mind was so stressed that all I could do is function with worry. Okay. People in relationships, they have issues with sex. Sex becomes a problem if we're overly stressed. And we don't even know maybe that's what the problem is, Let's talk about, people, they say, I just want to lay in my bed and I don't want to have to worry about it. I can't get out of bed. I'm sleeping all day, every day. I cry all the time. I worry all the time. Common signs of stress. Those are ways that, as a therapist looking in, I can start to identify and put patterns together and see that maybe we need to look at stress and maybe we need to look at ways to reduce stress. And, maybe you'll have a diagnosis of depression. Maybe you'll have a diagnosis of anxiety. But maybe there will be a time that we can start working through this, because I can make you start identifying some of these indicators that say, okay, whoa, we're getting some stress going up and building up. So what do we need to do? So I think it's important to really identify what stress is, how it's affecting us, the impact that it has. And it can be from minimal, like I just don't have any energy, to you're in the hospital with a heart attack, chest pains. It can be brain fog. It can be, just your mind never stopping. It can be so many things that you're like, oh, okay. So again, part of what I do is I listen and I try to evaluate what somebody's telling me and try to see how that is impacting them in that moment, because that's a big part of what I do next, So I think that stress is going to be something that we've all dealt with and that we've all been going through or have gone through or will go through at some point in our life. So I want to identify what stress is, and I want to talk about what stress is, and I want to talk about how it affects us. But there's going to be a second component to this. If you'll come back to the next video, we're going to talk about how we break that cycle, how we reduce that stress, how we improve those symptoms that I talked about, and what we can do to make stress not control our bodies. Okay? So I hope you guys will come back and listen to that part too. But for now, I just want to say thank you guys. I hope you have a great week. And please remember to like, share, and subscribe. And have a good night. Bye.